Hi, I'm Johnny from UltimatePapier-mâché.com. You know that I like making a clay form before I put paper mache over it in order to make a paper mache mask. A lot of times I'll use an oil-based clay, and getting the paper mache off of an oil-based clay is really easy as long as you put a really thin film of Vaseline on top of it. But when you want to use a wet clay, like the WED clay, which I really like doing because it's really fast to work with. You can, like I threw this guy together this morning and it feels more intuitive to me. I really like this material. But as I've discovered before, when putting paper mache over the wet clay, you end up with the inside of your mask ends up gray. But I found something this week that seems to work really good, and I'm going to show it to you in just a second. First thing I want to do, though, is show you another thing. I got this at Walmart. They're called Sponge-It sticks. I'm sure they're made in China, and it's just got a little tiny sponge on the end, and I'll show you why they're really cool. The first thing I did to smooth this off was just use a sponge and just moved it over here like this. This is what you would normally do when you're making any kind of clay, wet clay sculpture. And then you can also use a brush, just a damp brush, to smooth it off. And then what I like to do is these little Sponge-It things. They're cheap, but there's certain areas you just can't get into with the other things, or the sponges or the brushes might just be a little bit too big. You can get in there and really smooth it off nicely with these things. And because the little package comes with 6 or 7 different shapes, you can always find a shape that works really nice. Now you just now saw me put a little bit of extra water on this fellow, so I'm going to let him dry just a little bit more, and then I'm going to use this stuff that I found. It's called Super Hard Shell Performance Plus Turtle Wax. It's green, which is kind of cool. It makes him almost look like he's copper or something. But I'm going to put this over my WED clay just as soon as it dries off just a little bit. I'm going to let it sit here for maybe an hour. It's a little bit tricky drying it even because the clay is sitting over a hard form. That's pretty common when you're making a mask. I want the outside to be dry enough, like it is here, where you don't really get any clay stuck to your finger, but not wet like this, where it's, obviously it is wet because I just put some water on there. I don't want it to get so dry, though, that would possibly make it start to shrink and crack. I left it for a couple of hours, and I think it's just fine right now. Now I'm going to take some of this stuff, which is kind of cool. First time I tried this, I was really surprised that it really does dry on top of wet clay. Now that the wax is dry, I've got the clay isolated so I can add some petroleum jelly, just a really thin coating, and this will allow the paper mache to come off really nicely. I'll put you a link down below to the videos that show you how to use the blue shop towels to make masks, or of course you can always pick up my book if you want to on how to make masks. That's the name of it. Well, I think he's dry. He's had 2 days, and he's been in front of the fan all that time. I can't get any feeling of movement at all when I'm poking on him, so I think it's going to work. I'm hoping it'll all come off really easy because I don't actually need an Angry Man mask. The only reason I made it was to show you if this turtle wax actually works to make it nice and clean on the inside when you're using WED clay. And it did the first time I tried it, so I do hope that it works this time too. Put the clay on something nice and clean. I should be able to reuse it. There's going to be little pieces of plaster on there because I used a plaster cloth form instead of a plastic form, but that shouldn't hurt anything. But since the clay itself was actually protected from the air by both the wax and that petroleum jelly, it's still quite soft. And so as long as I can isolate that green wax and get that off, I should be able to use this again. Try to pop that plaster cloth form out of there without gouging my mask. There we go. Anytime you're using a hard tool, you want to make sure you keep it a long ways away from your paper mache, because it'll just poke right through it. Coming out clean. You know, now that I'm playing with it, I think I could actually just knead that green stuff in. I think I'm going to try that. It would be a lot of work to get it off of the clay, but I hate to just throw the clay out, and I think I could actually use it again this way. Not bad at all. If I give this a coat of the gesso and let it dry again and paint him up, maybe give him a little bit of red hair, and I've got an angry man mask. I don't think I'm actually going to finish him. I don't actually have any need for this guy, but it was fun to put him together. And one thing I wanted to mention before I go, I really love having guest posts on my blog. And in order to make that a little bit easier, I've put a page together where I show you what it is that we need for guest posts. If you have an idea that you've been using, then you don't see anybody else doing it, but you think that it would really help people with their paper mache projects, or if you've done a project, you really want to show it off and you want to show us how you made it so that we can make one too, I hope that you'll go out to that page and consider at least writing up a guest post for us. You can even do a video post if you want to. All you would need to do is write a couple of paragraphs to go with that video and then give me the link to the video. I learned so much from the guest posts that are out on my blog. I can't believe it. And the more the merrier as far as I'm concerned, especially now we got Halloween coming. And if you do have some turtle wax out in your garage and you want to use the WED clay for your original model, do consider using it. I think it really helps a lot. So that's all I had for today. Come on and visit me, ultimatepapermache.com. I'll see you there.